I'm going to die down here, Vittoria thought, gripping the heavy rope banister as she bounded down the cramped passageway behind the others. Although Langdon had made a move to stop the Camerlegno from entering the shaft, Chartrand had intervened, grabbing Langdon and holding on. Apparently, the young guard was now convinced the Camerlegno knew what he was doing. After a brief scuffle, Langdon had freed himself and pursued the Camerlegno with Chartrand close on his heels. Instinctively, Vittoria had dashed after them. Now she was racing headlong down a precipitous grade where any misplaced step could mean a deadly fall. Far below, she could see the golden glow of the Camerlegno's oil lamp. Behind her, Vittoria could hear the BBC reporters hurrying to keep up. The camera spotlight threw gnarled shadows beyond her down the shaft, illuminating Chartrand and Langdon. Vittoria could scarcely believe the world was bearing witness to this insanity. Turn off the damn camera. Then again, she knew the light was the only reason any of them could see where they were going. As the bizarre chase continued, Vittoria's thoughts whipped like a tempest. What could the Camerlegno possibly do down here? Even if he found the antimatter? There was no time. Vittoria was surprised to find her intuition now telling her the Camerlegno was probably right. Placing the antimatter 3 stories beneath the earth seemed an almost noble and merciful choice. Deep underground, much as in Z-Leben, antimatter annihilation would be partially contained. There would be no heat blast, no flying shrapnel to injure onlookers, just a biblical opening of the earth and a towering basilica crumbling into a crater. Was this Kohler's one act of decency? Sparing lives? Vittoria still could not fathom the director's involvement. She could accept his hatred of religion. But this awesome conspiracy seemed beyond him. Was Kohler's loathing really this profound? Destruction of the Vatican? Hiring an assassin? The murders of her father, the Pope, and 4 cardinals. It seemed unthinkable. And how had Kohler managed all this treachery within the Vatican walls? Rocher was Kohler's inside man, Vittoria told herself. Rocher was an Illuminatus. No doubt Captain Rocher had keys to everything: the Pope's chambers, Il Pacido, the necropolis, St. Peter's tomb, all of it. He could have placed the antimatter on St. Peter's tomb, a highly restricted locale, and then commanded his guards not to waste time searching the Vatican's restricted areas. Rocher knew nobody would ever find the canister. But Rocher never counted on the Camerlegno's message from above. The message. This was the leap of faith Vittoria was still struggling to accept. Had God actually communicated with the Camerlegno? Vittoria's gut said no, and yet hers was the science of entanglement physics, the study of interconnectedness. She witnessed miraculous communications every day, twin sea turtle eggs separated and placed in labs thousands of miles apart hatching at the same instant. Acres of jellyfish pulsating in perfect rhythm as if of a single mind. There are invisible lines of communication everywhere, she thought. But between God and man? Vittoria wished her father were there to give her faith. He had once explained divine communication to her in scientific terms, and he had made her believe. She still remembered the day she had seen him praying and asked him, "Father, why do you bother to pray? God cannot answer you." Leonardo Vetra had looked up from his meditations with a paternal smile. "My daughter the skeptic. So you don't believe God speaks to man? Let me put it in your language." He took a model of the human brain down from a shelf and set it in front of her. As you probably know, Vittoria, human beings normally use a very small percentage of their brain power. However, if you put them in emotionally charged situations like physical trauma, extreme joy or fear, deep meditation, all of a sudden their neurons start firing like crazy, resulting in massively enhanced mental clarity. So what? Vittoria said. Just because you think clearly doesn't mean you talk to God. Aha! Vetra exclaimed. And yet remarkable solutions to seemingly impossible problems often occur in these moments of clarity. It's what gurus call higher consciousness. Biologists call it altered states. Psychologists call it supersentience. He paused. And Christians call it answered prayer. Smiling broadly, he added, sometimes, divine revelation simply means adjusting your brain to hear what your heart already knows. Now, as she dashed down, headlong into the dark, Vittoria sensed perhaps her father was right. Was it so hard to believe that the Camerlengo's trauma had put his mind in a state where he had simply realized the antimatter's location? Each of us is a god, Buddha had said. Each of us knows all,